Look at this photograph. This is my daughter Emily on her wedding day, June 15th, 1999. She's beautiful, isn't she? That smile, that dress, that joy. I wasn't there. Not because I was sick. Not because I was traveling. Not because I couldn't make it. I wasn't there because I chose not to be. My name is Robert. I'm 76 years old, and 25 years ago, I made a choice that cost me everything. A choice born from pride, wrapped in righteousness, and justified by stubbornness. I chose to be right instead of being her father, and now, seated here in this empty house, I would give everything I own, every breath I have left, to go back to that day and make a different choice. But I can't. Time doesn't rewind. Daughters don't wait forever. And pride is the loneliest companion an old man can have. Let me tell you exactly what happened. And please, if you have a daughter, if you have a son, if you have anyone you love, learn from the mistake that haunts me every single day. It started in 1997. Emily was 23 years old, fresh out of college, working her first job in marketing. She came home for Thanksgiving dinner and said, "Dad, Mom, I want you to meet someone. His name is Marcus. I think he might be the one." I smiled. I said, "Of course, sweetheart. We'd love to meet him." But inside, I had already made up my mind about who would be good enough for my daughter. And I can tell you right now, Marcus wasn't it. He showed up to our house the following Sunday. Nice enough kid, I'll give him that. Polite, shook my hand, looked me in the eye. But here's what I saw. He was a musician, a jazz pianist, to be specific, playing in clubs at night, teaching piano lessons during the day, living in a small apartment, driving a beat-up Honda. And I was a successful attorney. I had built a practice over 30 years. I had a reputation, a name, a legacy. And in my mind, my daughter was going to marry someone appropriate, a doctor, a lawyer, a businessman, someone with a future I could see and measure and approve of, not a musician who played in smoky bars for tips. After Marcus left that day, Emily asked me, "So, what do you think?" I should have said, "If he makes you happy, I'm happy." But I didn't. I said, "Emily, are you sure about this? What kind of future does this man have? How is he going to provide for you? Support a family?" Her face fell. She said, "Dad, I love him. He's kind, he's talented, he makes me laugh." I cut her off. "Love doesn't pay the bills, Emily. I've seen this story before. You'll struggle. You'll resent him. Trust me." She looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "I thought you'd be happy for me." I said, "I'll be happy when you make a smart decision." That was the first brick in the wall between us. Over the next year, I did everything I could to discourage the relationship. Every time Emily brought Marcus to a family dinner, I was cold, distant. I asked him pointed questions about his career prospects. I made jokes about starving artists. I suggested Emily date other men, lawyers from my firm, sons of my colleagues. My wife, Patricia, pulled me aside one night. She said, "Robert, you're pushing her away. Can't you see that?" I said, "I'm protecting her. That's what fathers do." She said, "No, you're controlling her, and she's going to resent you for it." I didn't listen. I was convinced I was right. I was her father. I knew better. I was doing this out of love. But here's what I learned 25 years too late. Control is not love. Protection is not domination. And being right doesn't mean being there. In December 1998, Emily called me. Her voice was shaking with excitement. "Dad, Marcus proposed. We're getting married." My very first words, were not congratulations. They were not, "I'm so happy for you." They were, "Emily, don't do this. You're making a mistake." Silence. Long, painful silence. Then she said, "Dad, I called hoping you'd be happy for me. I called hoping you'd say you're proud of me. But I guess that was stupid. I said, I'll be proud when you make a decision worthy of pride." She hung up. 3 days later, she sent me a letter, handwritten. I still have it. It's in my desk drawer, stained with tears. Hers from when she wrote it, and mine from when I read it, years later, too late. The letter said, "Dad, I've spent my whole life trying to make you proud. Straight A's, perfect college, good job. I've done everything you asked. But now I'm choosing something for myself. Someone who makes me happy. And you can't accept that. I'm marrying Marcus, with or without you. I hope someday you realize that I didn't need you to approve of my choice. I just needed you to love me enough to support it. I'll always love you, Dad. But I need you to decide, do you want to be right? Or do you want to be my father? The wedding is June 15th. I hope you'll be there." I read that letter. And you know what I did? I threw it in the trash. June 15th, 1999. A beautiful Saturday in June. The wedding was at 3 p.m. at a small venue downtown. Nothing fancy, just close friends and family. About 60 people. Patricia begged me that morning. She was already dressed, makeup done, ready to go. She said, "Robert, please, she's our only daughter. Don't do this. Don't miss this." I said, "I'm not going to stand there and celebrate a mistake. If I go, it means I approve, and I don't." Patricia started crying. She said, "This isn't about approval. This is about love. This is about being there for our daughter on the most important day of her life." I said, "If Emily wants me there, she knows what she needs to do. She needs to call off this wedding and make a smarter choice." Patricia looked at me like she didn't know me, like I was a stranger. She said, "You're going to regret this for the rest of your life." I said, "I'll regret it if I go and watch her ruin her life." Patricia went to the wedding. I stayed home. I sat in my office, pretending to work, pretending I was fine. But every hour I looked at the clock. 3 p.m. The ceremony is starting. Emily is walking down the aisle without me. 3:30 p.m. She's saying her vows, promising her life to a man I refuse to accept. 4 p.m. The first dance, father-daughter dance, and the father isn't there. I told myself I was doing the right thing. I told myself she'd realize her mistake eventually and thank me for standing firm. But deep down, even then, I knew I had made a choice I could never undo. After the wedding, Emily didn't call. I didn't call her. Patricia tried to mediate, but there was nothing to say. I had drawn a line. Emily had crossed it, and neither of us knew how to step back. Months passed, then a year. Patricia would visit Emily and Marcus. She'd come home and tell me, "They're doing well, they're happy. Marcus got a job teaching music at the university. They're talking about buying a house." I'd grunt, Hmm, we'll see how long that lasts. But it did last. Year after year, they built a life together, and I stayed in my fortress of pride, convinced that time would prove me right. In 2003, Patricia came home from visiting Emily. She had tears in her eyes, but she was smiling. She said, "Robert, Emily's pregnant. We're going to be grandparents." My heart stopped. For just a moment, I felt joy. Pure, uncomplicated joy. But then the pride crept back in. I said, "I hope she's ready for how hard it's going to be raising a child on a musician's salary." Patricia shook her head. "You're unbelievable. Your daughter is giving you a grandchild, and all you can think about is being right." 7 months later, Patricia called me from the hospital. "Robert, Emily had the baby, a little girl. Her name is Sophie. She's perfect." I said, That's wonderful." Patricia said, "Emily asked if you want to come meet her." I hesitated, and in that hesitation, I made another mistake. I said, I'll think about it." I never went. Sophie turned 1. I wasn't there. Sophie turned 2. I wasn't there. Sophie started kindergarten. I wasn't there. In 2008, Emily had a second child, a boy, named Jacob. I found out 3 weeks later from Patricia. I met my grandchildren for the first time when Sophie was 7 and Jacob was 3. It was Christmas 2010. Patricia finally convinced me to go to Emily's house. I walked in, nervous, trying to act like this was normal. Sophie looked at me and said, "Mommy, who's that?" Emily said, "That's your grandfather." Sophie said, "Oh, I didn't know I had a grandfather." That sentence, those 8 words, broke something in me that I didn't know could break. I stayed for 2 hours. Awkward, painful hours. Marcus was polite, distant. He shook my hand and said, "Nice to finally meet you, Robert." Not Dad, not Mr. Thompson, just Robert. Emily showed me around their house. It wasn't big, but it was warm, filled with music, a piano in the living room, photos everywhere, Sophie's artwork on the fridge, Jacob's toys scattered on the floor. She showed me the photos from her wedding. I saw her walking down the aisle on Marcus's father's arm because her own father refused to be there. I saw the father-daughter dance, where she danced with her uncle, my younger brother, who had tried to talk sense into me back then. I saw her smiling in every photo, genuinely happy, and I realized she didn't make a mistake. I did. Before I left, Sophie ran up to me. She handed me a drawing. It was a picture of her family, Mommy, Daddy, Jacob, and a blank space where I should have been. She said, "I drew this for you. You can keep it." I looked at Emily. She had tears in her eyes. She said, "Dad, you missed so much. And for what? To prove a point?" I didn't have an answer. Patricia died in 2015. Cancer. It was fast. Brutal. In her final days, she held my hand and said, "Robert, promise me something. Promise me you'll fix things with Emily before it's too late." I promised. After the funeral, Emily and I stood in the cemetery, just the two of us. I said, "Emily, I'm sorry. I was wrong. About Marcus, about the wedding, about all of it. I let my pride destroy us." She looked at me with eyes that looked so much like her mother's. She said, "Dad, I've heard I'm sorry before, but sorry doesn't give me back 16 years. Sorry doesn't give Sophie and Jacob the grandfather they deserved. Sorry doesn't put you in the wedding photos. I said, I know. I know I can't undo it, but I want to try. I want to be part of your life, part of their lives, if you'll let me. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I'll think about it. It's been 9 years since Patricia died. Emily and I, we're cordial. We're polite. We see each other on holidays. I send birthday cards to Sophie and Jacob. But there's a distance that will never close, a wall I built brick by brick with my pride and stubbornness. Sophie is 21 now, graduating college next month. She's polite to me, calls me Grandpa, but I'm not her grandfather, not really. I'm the old man who shows up twice a year with a check and a stiff hug. Jacob is 17. He barely talks to me. At family dinners, he answers in one-word sentences and excuses himself as soon as he can. Marcus was a better man than I ever gave him credit for. He's now the head of the music department at the university. He and Emily just celebrated their 25th anniversary. 25 years. The same amount of time I've spent regretting that I wasn't there for year one. Let me tell you exactly what my pride cost me. I lost my daughter's trust. She learned that my love was conditional, that my presence was negotiable, that being right was more important to me than being there for her. I lost 16 years of birthdays, Christmases, school plays, first days of school, first lost teeth, first crushes, thousands of moments that I can never get back. I lost my grandchildren. Sophie and Jacob don't know me. They don't have memories of Grandpa teaching them to fish or telling them bedtime stories. I'm a stranger with a title. I lost my wife's respect. Patricia loved me. But in those final years, I saw disappointment in her eyes every time she looked at me. She went to her grave knowing I chose pride over family. I lost my own peace. I'm 76 years old. I wake up every morning with regret. I go to bed every night with ghosts. The ghost of the father I should have been, the grandfather I could have been, and for what? What did I gain? I got to be right. I got to stand on my principles. I got to prove that I knew better. And it was the worst trade I ever made. Here's what I learned too late. When you try to control someone's choices, you're not protecting them. You're telling them that you don't trust them, that their feelings don't matter, that your vision for their life is more important than their own. I thought I was protecting Emily from a mistake, but what I was really doing was trying to live her life for her. I wanted her to marry the man I would have chosen, to have the life I thought was best, to validate my values, my judgments, my worldview. But she wasn't an extension of me. She was her own person, with her own dreams, her own heart, her own path. And when I couldn't control that path, I abandoned her. Pride tells you that apologizing is weakness, that admitting you're wrong diminishes you, that standing firm is strength. But pride is a liar. Real strength is saying, I was wrong. Real courage is saying, I'm sorry. I hurt you, and I want to make it right. Real love is saying, I may not agree with your choice, but I love you enough to support you anyway. I waited 16 years to say those things, and by the time I said them, the damage was done. The trust was broken. The relationship was a shell. You can apologize. You can try to make amends, but you can't go back. You can't give back the years you stole, the moments you missed, the love you withheld. There's a question I ask myself every single day. What was more important, being right or being a father? I chose being right, and I've spent 25 years wishing I had chosen differently. Because here's the truth, I was wrong anyway. Emily and Marcus have a beautiful marriage, a beautiful family. They struggled sometimes, yes. Money was tight in the early years, but they made it work. They built a life together based on love and partnership and shared dreams. And I could have been part of that. I could have watched it unfold. I could have been there when Sophie was born, holding Emily's hand, telling her I was proud of her. But I chose pride instead. If you're a father, if you're a mother, if you have children making choices you don't agree with, please, please listen to me. Your child's life is not yours to control. Your child's happiness is not contingent on your approval. Your child doesn't need you to agree with their choices. They need you to love them despite them. Maybe your daughter is marrying someone you don't like. Maybe your son is choosing a career you don't respect. Maybe your child is taking a path you don't understand. You have two choices. You can stand on your principles. You can be right. You can draw a line and dare them to cross it. Or you can love them. You can show up. You can be there. You can say, I may not understand this, but I love you, and I will always be here for you. One choice keeps you in their life. One choice pushes you out. I made the wrong choice. Don't be me. Emily calls me every other Sunday. We talk for about 10 minutes. Surface level stuff, weather, work, the kids' activities. But we don't talk about the past. We don't talk about the wedding. We don't talk about the 16 years. And I'm too afraid to bring it up. Because I'm afraid that if I do, if I open that wound again, she'll stop calling altogether. So I live in this strange limbo. Polite conversations, holiday visits, a relationship that exists, but doesn't really live. And every time she calls, I hope that this will be the call where she says, Dad, I forgive you, really forgive you. But she doesn't, and maybe she never will. And that's a consequence I have to live with. If I could go back to 1999, if I could sit down with the 51-year-old version of me, here's what I would say. Robert, you're about to make the biggest mistake of your life. You're about to choose pride over love, principle over presence, being right over being a father. And I'm here to tell you, it's not worth it. Emily is going to marry Marcus, with or without you. And Marcus is going to be a good husband, a good father, a good man. But if you're not there, if you choose to stay home on her wedding day, you will spend the rest of your life regretting it. You'll miss her first pregnancy, her children's births, first steps, first words, first days of school. You'll become a stranger in her life, a name on a birthday card, a face at holiday dinners. But not her father, not really. Is that what you want? Is being right that important? And I hope, I pray, that 51-year-old Robert would listen, would put on his suit, would walk his daughter down that aisle, would dance with her at the reception, would shake Marcus's hand and say, Welcome to the family. But I can't go back. I can only sit here at 76 and tell you what I wish someone had told me. I'm 76 years old. My daughter is 48. My grandchildren are 21 and 17. I've been invited to Sophie's college graduation next month. I'll go. I'll sit in the audience. I'll clap when she walks across that stage. But I won't be the grandfather she runs to afterward. I won't be the one she thanks in her speech. I'll be the polite old man who sends a check and a congratulations card because I chose pride. And pride doesn't keep you warm at night. Pride doesn't call you on Sundays. Pride doesn't forgive you for the years you threw away. If you're holding a grudge against your child, if you're withholding your presence because they didn't live up to your expectations, let it go. Let it go. Being right is a cold, lonely victory. Being there is everything. I know that now, but I learned it 25 years too late. Don't be me. Don't choose pride. Choose love. Choose to be there even when it's hard, even when you don't agree, even when you think you know better, because one day you'll be 76 years old, sitting alone, looking at photos of a wedding you missed, grandchildren you barely know, a daughter who's polite but distant, and you'll realize that you were wrong about everything. Don't let that day come. Thank you for listening to an old man's confession. If this reached you, if you're in the middle of a fight with your child, if there's a grudge you're holding, please put down your pride, pick up the phone, say, I love you, I'm sorry, I'm here, before it's too late. Subscribe if you want to walk this path of wisdom with me. Like this video if it touched you. And please tell me in the comments, have you ever let pride cost you a relationship? How did you fix it? Or are you still trying? I'll be here reading every word, because even at 76, I'm still learning. God bless. And please, please, choose love over pride.